Most people use ChatGPT exactly like this. They type a question, they copy the answer, they paste it into their work, and then they wonder why their productivity has not actually improved, even though they use ChatGPT every single day. Here is the honest truth. The problem is not ChatGPT. The problem is how they are using it. Today we are looking at 5 specific prompt patterns that separate senior operators from juniors. And any one of them will instantly upgrade the quality of your output. Let us start. Here is the fundamental difference between junior usage and senior usage. Juniors ask ChatGPT for answers. Seniors orchestrate workflows. A junior says, "Write me a proposal for a marketing client." A senior says something completely different. They say, "Before we write anything, let us first define what success actually looks like for this client. Then map out the 3 most likely objections they will raise. Then generate 5 completely different angles we could take. Then critique each one against those success criteria we just defined. Same tool, completely different results. One produces generic work, the other produces work that wins." Prompt number 1 is the thinking partner. Here is the biggest waste of ChatGPT. Using it to generate first drafts of your thinking. Most people do this and then wonder why the output feels hollow. The senior move is the complete opposite. You bring your own draft first. You have already done your thinking. Then you say to ChatGPT, "Attack this argument as if you were the smartest critic in the room. List every weakness you can find. Find the assumptions I am making. Find the logical gaps." ChatGPT becomes a steel manning partner, not a parrot. Your thinking gets sharper because now you have to defend it. This alone will change how you work. Prompt number 2 is the reverse brief. Most people give ChatGPT a vague task and get a vague output. That is cause and effect. The senior move is to start completely differently. You say, "Here is what I am trying to produce." Now you show it an example. Then you say, "Write me back the perfect brief that would have produced this exact output." Let ChatGPT reverse engineer what you actually want. Then use that brief on a fresh chat to redo the entire task. You will be shocked, honestly shocked, how much clearer your direction becomes when ChatGPT forces you to articulate what you actually want. This one prompt saves weeks of refinement. Prompt number 3 is the 10 versions trick. This is where most people fail. They accept the first output. Never do that, ever. The senior prompt goes like this. "Give me 10 different versions of this, each taking a completely different angle." Then you go further. Now critique each version as if you were the actual target audience. What would resonate? What would fall flat? Then combine the 3 strongest elements from those 10 into one final version. The first output is brainstorming. The 5th iteration is craft. The 10th iteration is mastery. This single shift in how you use ChatGPT will improve your work more than anything else. Prompt number 4 is the audit. Once you have a draft you like, once you think it is good, that is when the senior move happens. You ask ChatGPT, "What is missing from this work that an expert would notice immediately?" Read it as a hostile reviewer. Find the assumptions I am making. Find the questions I am avoiding. Find the conclusions I am not stating. This single prompt has saved more careers than any other prompt I know. It catches the things you cannot see because you wrote them. Your brain fills in the gaps. ChatGPT does not have that bias. It will find the holes that will embarrass you later if you do not fix them now. Prompt number 5 is the teaching reverse. This is the most underused senior pattern. Once your work is done, you ask ChatGPT, "Explain my work back to me as if I were the audience hearing this for the first time. Tell me what they would understand immediately. Tell me what they would misunderstand. Tell me what they would not care about. Tell me what they would question." This reveals exactly where your communication is breaking down before anyone else sees it. You fix it then. Not after your client rejects it. Not after your audience is confused. You catch it now. This prompt prevents so much failure. Here is something critical: why order matters. Junior usage is one prompt, one output, and then done. Senior usage is a sequence. You start with brief, then you generate options, then you critique them, then you refine, then you audit, then you test how you communicate it. Each stage uses a different prompt pattern. The single biggest mistake is using ChatGPT at only one stage of your work, and usually the wrong stage. Most people skip the brief stage entirely. That is why their outputs feel generic. They never got clear on what they were actually trying to do. Sequence matters more than any individual prompt. Here is the paradox that most people get completely backwards. Most people use ChatGPT for the part that should still be human. Original thinking, taste, judgment, aesthetic choices, the hard stuff. Then they do the part that ChatGPT is actually phenomenal at by hand, generating options, critiquing drafts, finding gaps, stress testing ideas. They have the polarity completely reversed. Flip it. Use ChatGPT for what it is good at. Keep the human thinking for what matters. When you reverse the polarity like this, your output quality doubles overnight. And more importantly, you actually feel less stressed because you are no longer trying to force ChatGPT into the wrong job. Let me give you a quick diagnostic. These are the signs you are still using ChatGPT like a junior. You use one prompt per task. You accept the first output without iteration. You never tell ChatGPT what role to play in your process. You never give it context about who your actual audience is. You never ask it to critique your own work before you send it out. You never reverse brief your goals. You never generate multiple versions. If 3 or more of these are true, and honestly, be honest with yourself here, if 3 or more are true, you are leaving most of the value on the table. The upgrade is not complicated. It is just a different sequence of prompts. Once you start using these 5 patterns together, the gains compound. Senior usage is not just better output. It is 10 times faster than junior usage, and it produces work that is 3 to 5 times better in quality. Think about that math. Faster and better. The gap between people who use ChatGPT well and people who use it like a search engine is now bigger than the gap between people who use ChatGPT and people who do not use it at all. You are not just becoming more efficient. You are in a completely different tier of capability. And it all comes from understanding that ChatGPT is a workflow partner, not an answer machine. Here is what I want you to do this week. Pick exactly one of the 5 prompts we just covered, just one. Do not try to master all 5. Use it on a real task you actually have to do this week, not a toy example, real work. Notice how different the output feels. Notice how your thinking changes. Then notice what happens to your speed and quality over the next month if you make that prompt a habit. You do not need to be an expert at all 5. You just need to install one. Pick the one that resonates with you. The thinking partner, the reverse brief, the 10 versions, the audit, or the teaching reverse. Pick one. Start today. And in 30 days, come back and tell yourself how different your work has become.